a shield.
Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud!
Behold! The power of magnetism! What would your finishing maneuver be called?
Circumcision.
Follow the buzzards!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the wrestling podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you guys the wrestling news of the week. You guys know what to expect from our podcast by now, but we do it for the new guys coming along. My name, if you're asking, is Turbo Tony. We're here with, he's gonna snap into a Slim Jim, the Macho Man, Matty Savage.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, is that okay?
I was thinking, though, when you started it, I was like, are you going with like a Macho Matt? But okay, yeah.
Macho Matt, yeah. In fact, that would have been better. I'm kind of ashamed of myself a little bit now.
I one-upped you on the intro.
Oh well. But I thought it was quite unique.
It was very good.
Our listeners will have to start, giving us more tips and stuff on how to do it, because eventually I'm going to run out of ideas. And
It's...
Matt? Yeah. Oh, good stuff. So, interesting week. If you guys had been catching our last couple of podcasts, and you know that this is the first podcast we've done in a while where it's actually things are back to normal. We're back in our preferred studios, as we like to say. And we've had the appropriate week to watch everything, because the last couple of weeks, both myself and Matt had holidays, and then obviously they've overlapped and left us in a
all the
situation.
chaos ensued. Yeah.
Also have to just a little bit of a warning to our listeners before we start off. I had two very long journeys through very Irish rain this week, so I apologise if I'm a little bit sniffly this week, because I got a double cold, so there you go.
Has it been that bad over there?
Yeah, well, you know what, it hasn't been bad, and I don't want to coin it as why does it always rain on me, but it did really rain when I was out of the house. It was just, okay. But oh well, it's just the way things are. We've got a very packed show. Oh, before we start, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
Yeah, that's it.
You remembered.
I remembered, yeah. Just before, I almost was out of it there, but still. As I said there, guys, a massive packed podcast for you this week. All the trimmings, because we know you guys want a big podcast for this week. We've got the wrestling news, which features an article. There is. Yeah, there's some interesting news there to talk about.
Yeah. We
have our first segment of our fan feedback, where we're going to talk about a particular comment that was left on our last video, and it asked for some of our opinions. We're going to go into that on this as well. We have our fail of the week, which I know you guys love. I mean, everyone loves fail of the week. Come on, it's awesome.
Just think back to that moment that made you put your head in your hand.
Yeah. Then obviously we have our Raw review, where we review every segment of Raw. And you think, come on, Tony, that's more than enough. Come on, you're being too generous. Well, you get something else. You get also, we were wrong, we were damn wrong at the end of the show, where we're going to talk about a statement that myself and Matt made way before the launch of this podcast about JBL maybe being the guy to put commentary into the new level. Obviously, considering you guys must have listened to us since then, we obviously don't think that way. So we're going to go through all that and stuff.
Yeah, the opinions changed.
That's it. So, a massive packed podcast for you there this week, because you guys deserve it, because you're supporting us every single week, and we do appreciate it.
That's it.
Awesome stuff. Let's get started, Matt. Lots of stuff to get through this week.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, a little bit of a tinge of anger for both of us.
No.
Did you guys know here, you'd have been listening to us, that we have been planning to review something on the 1st of this month? It was always in our plans. Myself and Matt were going to purchase said product, for a price that, has been advertised quite a bit. You guys are probably know what I'm talking about.
That is a commonly known fee.
Yeah. WWE decided to postpone the launch of the network in the UK by a month. It's now launching at November the 1st. They did not make any announcements to actually advise us of this, so the only reason that we know is because a lot of us tried to purchase it and it said it's not actually out yet. And it was like, okay, well, you could have told us this. Obviously, WWE don't want any negative press that surrounds the network. They made no reference on it this week on Raw.
They did.
No, they made no reference of it being postponed.
The delay, the postponed, just like it'll be available to you November 1st.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah.
Like, oh.
They just hope that
changed.
they hope that they didn't forget JBL telling us time and time again it would be available October 1st, which was 3 days ago to us. So, yeah, a little bit of a shame. And for WWE, look at it for us. Yeah, it's a shame because we want to review it for you guys. And it's it is a good price and everything. As much as we hate the fact that they keep advertising at the price, the $9.99. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, $9.99.
I think more than anything is the fact that we wanted to. There was like pay-per-views that we just longingly wanted to go back and watch. Like it was like just go back to like WrestleMania 13 or something.
Yeah,
great matches and just like, but now I have to wait longer or troll YouTube. And as much as some people go, I just go on YouTube. YouTube's not the easiest place. Wrestling.
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, no, it's the amount of times we've said this before. The amount of times that we have tried to do research on matches and troll YouTube for it, it's a nightmare. So, in terms of us being a podcast, the network actually is very, very good because it supplies us with a lot of research opportunities to talk about for you guys for the show. We do remember a lot of stuff, you and me, but going back and actually seeing it is much better.
Yeah, that's it. Like we could fondly flashback, but then it's sort of like, but what if? It's like fresh in our minds
to go into more extensive detail, So
yeah.
But like, as you said, for WWE, this means that an entire month's worth of cash is out of their pocket. So that's they should be ashamed at the fact that they let it get to this point where they've had to postpone it another month, and it's their fault that they've lost out on that money. That's just the bottom line, All the money problems that they're having at the moment, where they're hemorrhaging cash out of the network. Having this month of
having such a stall and delay,
I mean they're losing money. Money's falling through their fingertips with it because they do have a very viable market in the UK and in Ireland. They will get obviously not as many as subscriptions as they will in America because of the size of the place. Let's be realistic, but you will get a decent amount. I guarantee you. In terms of population to subscriptions, the UK will be higher than America will be. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
But there we go. So it's a bit of a shame. That means we can't review anything on the network until November 1st. I'm not even going to apologise to you guys because it's not really to us. It's WWE that's done it. So there we are. WWE have released an article on WWE.com. This actually came up a couple of days ago. Myself and Matt have trawled through it. We decided to bring it up here because every so often, it seems like for these WWE.com articles, they tell their writers just a fantasy book and make an article out of it. And basically, this is the 5 things that they believe that will happen in 5 years.
No, I think it's more than 5 things, but it's like the state of the WWE in 5 years' time.
Yeah, essentially, what's going to be the landscape of the company at that time, who's going to be champions and stuff like this. You've got the list there, Matt. Yeah. So we're going to go through them. We're going to tell you whether we think they might be right, and if we think they're wrong, we're going to tell you why they're wrong. So crack on.
So first one being that Cena will be Raw GM.
Okay. First of all, I think this is the most likely to happen out of the entire list.
Yeah, definitely.
We've said before that Cena lives and breathes WWE. He is essentially married to the company. It's what got him his divorce from his wife in the first place because he wouldn't stop fucking working.
Yeah.
So when his body is over, I can see him going to a TV sort of role. Yeah. I can see him going to that.
I mean, the one thing I disagree with the whole thing is like they say like by 2019, Cena will have surpassed Ric Flair to become the first 19-time champion. Like, no, let's not have that, please.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I'm not going to hold my hands up and say that. I mean, we said WWE can't help themselves sometimes, and Cena is the ultimate golden boy, but I don't think they'll go that crazy with it, really. No, but I
don't think we'll see him compete though. I reckon, like they say, like he'll still turn up when should the need arise, and I think he'll have a sort of similar sort of Triple H in the Authority sort of role.
You're like the SummerSlam, WrestleManias matches.
Yeah, if it's a big event and the story asks for it, he will still compete.
It's all down to how his body holds out. If his body doesn't hold out, then he's going to be in problems, and he may not be able. He might be like Edge, where one day the doctor tells him you can't wrestle anymore at all, regardless of what you want to do. And at the end of the day, does WWE no issue to see John Cena break down physically in the ring and not being able to walk anymore? That's not exactly what we want. And we hear stories almost every week of how Cena is a walking corpse.
That's it.
So,
it's all like he's working injured again, still injured.
Still injured, yeah. And with the amount of, the guy doesn't take any days off. The guy is constantly working. That's got to take an effect on your body at some time in his career. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't think that he's gonna just go cold turkey away from WWE completely and not have any role with the company whatsoever.
And the guy, thing is, I couldn't see him go cold turkey from the camera.
No, of course not.
Like I don't see him sort of going into like a Joey Mercury agent sort of role.
Yeah, no. He'll be much more prevalent than that, and he won't turn up like Hogan does every now and then. I see him once his career ends, he's going to be an on-screen personality. That's the way I see it. What's the next one?
Reigns will be on a WrestleMania win streak.
No!
He's already 2-0.
No, he's not going to be on a WrestleMania win streak.
But no.
The reason I say that is because it's already played out. You don't need another streak. There's no point to make another streak again.
Yeah.
Now, the Undertaker streak, when that started up, that they didn't say, okay, when that guy walked into the company, okay, we're going to make you wrestle 21 WrestleManias in a row and you'll go unbeaten. He won, that's the way it was booked, and then they were like, okay, now it's a streak, so we may as well go for it. So that could end up happening, but I think there's very little chance of that ever happening again.
I mean, I know it's possibly, because in 5 years' time he'd be 7-0. I mean, I'm not going to turn around and say, oh yeah, I think they should use Reigns to chase down the 21. I don't think they'll ever beat it, and I don't think they should.
No, I'm fairly in your camp. I don't think you shouldn't do it that way because the streak itself was unique. Don't play on your old cards. Try and make something new of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot of people will start looking at it like, oh, this guy is trying to be the Taker and stuff like this. It's going to end up looking negative or anything. It can be booked correctly. I just don't think it will do. I don't think they didn't, as we said, with Undertaker, they didn't start out saying, okay, we're going to make this streak. And I doubt they will do that with anyone because, we know how quickly plans change, on the fly.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that Reigns has a much more likeliness over the next 5 years to turn heel than John Cena ever has. So,
definitely.
We'll see how it goes from there. And obviously, if he's a heel, more than likely heels lose WrestleMania, but still.
Yeah.
We'll think about it from there. But yeah, I firmly believe not. I think he will at least lose one WrestleMania between now and then. So. Okay, next one.
So yeah, there's a third one next along. Takes into NXT. Takes that into account.
Okay.
Hideo Itami will be Mr. Money in the Bank.
Okay.
In 5 years' time, I could buy it.
It's feasible. I think it could happen.
Yeah. I can't think of a single reason why that couldn't happen, though.
I can think of a multiple reasons why it couldn't happen. There's just too many variables. It's very hard to plan.
Well, yeah.
It may get to the point. Maybe Itami. I know he's Kenta, guys, but because he's Itami now, that's what we're going to refer to him as. There's no point drawing as he is Kenta. We'll do that with any guy that gets renamed in NXT, just so you guys know. So Itami, going forward, he may get really hot really quick, and they may end up putting the belt on him before 5 years. Maybe. It could be possible. I think the guy has a tremendous look.
They mentioned, this whole thing goes on, because it's all fantasy booking, so how they would have booked it leading up to this point in 5 years' time.
Yeah. Well,
having three...
with Itami, him winning Money in the Bank could be fine. The thing is with Money in the Bank, it's more flavour of the month. It's very hard to predict that. So
yeah,
it's likely, but I wouldn't.
This carry on.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet my house on it. You know what I mean?
Oh no, not at all. But it'd be a nice image to have. I mean, like I said, like you said at the start of this whole thing for the WWE report was just it's fantasy booking.
Yeah.
And at this point, they've written out that he's captured the IC title 3 times by the time this happens.
Yeah. Which as we said, it could happen as well. There's two very. I think with when it comes to Itami, I think there's two very plausible things that can happen. He could be a huge, massive star.
Yeah.
And WWE would desperately want to lock down, their Japanese market, which they don't have any sort of foothold in at all. TNA has a better foothold in that country than WWE has. So, that may be where they go from there. Or does he go around the same style that that all the Japanese talent WWE have had, where they just don't use him and they gimmick him, too much.
Yeah.
It's interesting to go from there. I do see him winning an IC belt, so I agree with that. But like I said, with the Money in the Bank, it's just too many variables. It's flavor of the month, isn't it? So
yeah.
see how it goes from there. So yeah.
Number 4, NXT will compete with Raw for brand supremacy.
Isn't it already doing that?
Technically, yeah. I mean, I was just reading the rest of it, and it's the stellar success of NXT will lead to a rift in the McMahon family as Triple H sides with the brand he helped build, while Stephanie leads the charge for WWE. The battle for Squared Circle supremacy will come to a head at WrestleMania 36, when the main roster's top stars clash with the best NXT has to offer in a best-of-7 series for bragging rights.
Yeah, that is ultimate fantasy booking, isn't it?
But were we not talking of something like this?
Yeah. But didn't I also reference the fact that it was also fantasy booking? Like, we don't see it happening.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see this happening. NXT is developmental. It is more often than not now, better than Raw, but WWE don't see it that way. They see it that this is the developmental and it'll always be associated as such. I don't see NXT becoming like the new SmackDown and having trades and backwards and forwards. I just don't see it happening that way. It is fantasy booking. I firmly believe that is not on the cards. Now you could have like an NXT faction come to Raw.
Which is the other thing that we discussed.
Yeah, I don't. That's much more likely, but I don't think they're gonna come out with NXT flags and say, okay, now this is the NXT show. Nah, I don't see that happening personally. But while Vince is alive, he's gonna want Raw as top dog, and sort of rightfully so. So NXT is only going to get as far as what
5 years down the line. Do you really think Vince will have anything to say?
Yes, I think he'll have a control of that company until he draws his last breath. I firmly believe that. Like, Triple H won't have his vision completed until Vince is dead. That's the bottom line. So, okay.
There will be a WWE Network champion.
No. Flat out, no.
No need for it.
No need.
Especially considering it's like they've said on here, like, it will only be defended on the network, and it's like, well, by that point, everything will be on the network.
Yeah. We don't even know if the network's going to be operational in 5 years.
The network might not be around in 5 years' time.
Nah, this is stupid. That's really silly. And the fact is that you don't need a belt. An extra belt, you just don't need it at the moment. They've got enough on the roster to deal with, and they can't book that correctly. Having a belt exclusive to the network on its own I know that they're going to mess that up if they were to do it, and it's not a very strong prospect anyway to do. I don't see people getting around it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, completely no. I don't think we're going to have a network title at all. So that's my thoughts on it.
Completely agree. Dean Ambrose will be the longest reigning WWE World Heavyweight Champion of modern times. Well, considering the belt's only about 6 months old, of modern times doesn't count for much.
So, but are they counting CM Punk's title reign, which is over a year?
Yeah.
He's the odd one, right? I think Dean Ambrose will be champion. We said that in the last podcast.
Yep.
I think the guy has a really bright future as a face or a heel, but he's proving to be a much more competent face than I ever thought he would be.
Definitely. But to be fair, all he has to do is... like, it depends. He could play the same character. The only thing that needs to change is who he punches.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of,
that sort of makes sense.
Yeah. And like how vicious and vile he is.
Yeah.
At the moment, he's comedically punching up people, doing stuff like that. I get what you mean. Will he have a lengthy run, the length of CM Punk? No, I don't think I think it was extremely rare. In fact, I applaud them for having CM Punk as the champion for that long, because that was unheard of, back then. I just don't think they'll do it again.
No.
And as much as I like Ambrose, and I think he will be champion, if they're going to have someone have a belt for a very long time, I just don't think Ambrose will be the one to have it. But we'll see. They also say on there that he will be paired up with Heyman. Sure, maybe, but
That's true, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Heyman does any good work with anyone apart from Brock Lesnar, and I think that's probably what I think that's what he best to stick to at the moment. So I wouldn't want to see him paired up with Ambrose. But what's your thoughts on that?
What, Heyman and Ambrose?
Yeah.
I don't think he needs it.
No.
It's like, oh, let's stick a guy who's very capable on the mic with someone who's very capable on the mic. What's the point?
Well, they did it with CM Punk, didn't they? But the difference is back then Heyman had nothing to do. You know, like
yeah, but the thing
Lesnar
is,
wasn't.
I think at that point, like Heyman wasn't doing the same sort of job as he is now with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
Like Heyman is selling Lesnar.
Yeah.
Punk could sell himself.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Heyman was just there just to sort of essentially to sort of big him up and carry the belt.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get what you mean because at the end of the day, as you say, like with CM Punk, Lesnar was still Heyman's top guy. So whenever Lesnar was around, Heyman was always with him.
Yeah.
Going forward to that point. So he was only with CM Punk, Heyman, because Lesnar wasn't around as much. Now because he's champion, he's around a lot more, and he's much more pivotal to the everything that's going on. I don't. If he gets like another client, which would be Ambrose, let's say that were to happen, and then Lesnar comes back, it's going to make Ambrose look like he's second tier. And I don't like that idea. That's the problem with all the other people that he's got. They look like they're a step down because that's what Heyman does when he has free time, because all of his time goes to Brock Lesnar when he's got that time to spare. So yeah, there we go from there. So is that it, or was that all of them?
Last one.
Okay.
WrestleMania will be held in China.
Absolutely not.
No.
WrestleMania, and we've said this categorically, as much as we would like it overseas, in England, mind.
That's it. It mentions like the last one to be overseas was SummerSlam '92. Yeah. It's like, and that was us.
Yeah, there is no way, categorically, right now or ever, that WWE are going to put their marquee top pay event on a different time zone, no less, which would not favour their American audience. So, if they're going to do it anywhere outside the US, it has to be somewhere where, the time zones at least coincide with it. That's the reason why they don't do pay-per-views in England, because they would have to air it at such an awkward time.
Yeah.
That would be middle of the day for America, because we obviously, we're used to it by now, staying up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch pay-per-views. I doubt much of the American audience would do the same,
That's it. Well, it wouldn't be a case of getting up that early in the morning. It would be sort of watching at 3 p.m. sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which you'd think wouldn't be too much of an issue because, that's a lot of stuff when the big sports games happen, like Thanksgiving and, stuff like this. That, all those sports things happen within roughly that time slot. It's not the evening that happens. It's in the middle of the day. So you think maybe there would be some sort of market for maybe having an event earlier than that. But there's no way categorically. I can tell you right now.
It wouldn't be live. They couldn't do it live because they'll literally just go, no, because this show's on.
Yeah,
TV is already scheduled. TV already has its schedule, and sports aren't 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
sort of thing. Like wrestling's not 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. They would lose buy rates, there's no doubt about it. But I can tell you categorically now, that's if it was aired in the UK. Let alone if it was aired in fucking China. That's no way it's ever, especially WrestleMania of all things. That is
I'm just looking through another list. 10 venues that should host WrestleMania. The new Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, it should, but it's not going to. We're realistic.
I know.
But now that's actually quite ludicrous. I can't believe anyone actually thinking, like, generally that would happen, because it's never ever going to happen.
Like some of these, like there's one that says like Johannesburg. It's like no,
it's not gonna. Very odd that someone come up. Some of them you can get with, like. That some of them are a little bit, has variables attached to it. We can tell you right now, guys, and this one thing I would bank my house on, categorically, they're not going to do another pay-per-view outside the US for many, many years, and especially not in China, of all places. So, there we go. It's weird that they said China, not Japan, because there's a much more of a thing for Japan than it would be China, but still. And that's all of them, is it?
That's it, yeah.
So some of them pretty ludicrous, some of them we can see happening. Let us go. Let us know what you guys think of it, because they're quite interesting that they get put up on there. They're interesting talking points, if nothing else. So we go from there. Talking of talking points, new segment this week, which won't be every week. It's just if we get an interesting question or set of questions from a fan, then we'll air them on the show. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to do this week. We have a fan, Thomas Miller, always been very supportive of the podcast, so thank you very much. You left a comment on the last episode, and you want our opinions on essentially a few wrestlers that you asked us for. So we're going to give you our opinions. That's the way it is. If you guys want to be featured on it,
I didn't see this comment.
Oh wow, we caught you off guard. Well, you cover the Twitter, don't you? So that's what we are. At Talk Wrestle
See,
Pod.
Tom, get it on Twitter, and I'll know about it.
Yeah. Send him a tweet, so then Matt in the Matt will know. Otherwise, he feels left out. That's it. Macho Matt Randy Savage. So first of all, he asked our opinions on the Wyatt family. Now he wants to know whether we believe that they've missed the chance to give him a big story or title. This is Bray Wyatt. Do you want yourself or myself to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go for it.
Yes.
I agree.
I think I could stand on the opinion that it was too early to give them to give Bray the title.
Yeah,
but they've let it slip, and it's now fizzled down to nothing.
Yeah.
I think this whole it's shown on Raw, and we will mention it later. And I loved it. The fact that they're letting Luke Harper go from the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
Now, could that just be we need someone for Bray to fight?
Well, I think it's more.
I don't think that'll be the initial story, but
it might get down there. Yeah.
Nothing's happening with the Wyatt family.
Yeah, at all.
And it's just got stale.
Yeah, my thought of it is that it was too early to put the title on him. They had that big, ladder match to crown the new champion, if you remember like that.
Yes.
And that's when Cena won the belt, right? Wyatt was in that, and we said while it would be cool for him to get it, it still is a little bit too early for him to get the belt, and I still stand by that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But however, though, I agree with you, Matt, because you could say that the Cena storyline was a big storyline for him, and technically it was. But did it actually do anything for him positive? No. It didn't. It didn't do anything. It hurt the guy badly. Very, very badly. And he came out of that storyline looking not good at all. And it got to the point now where he did the rivalry with Jericho, and then he got squashed so quickly by Cena again. So it removed all that 3 months of worth of work that Jericho did for the guy. So we didn't
got smushed just to see Cena still hasn't lost his fighting spirit. Lesnar hasn't killed him yet.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
No, he's just killed another character. He's just killed another gimmick, and there we go.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, they definitely did miss the mark to really push this guy up to another level. They missed that, and there was a point with Wyatt where he got really, really hot, where where all the lights are coming on, people chanting for him. That was the moment to really keep him going up. Not so much to give him the belt, but give him wins after wins after wins after wins, and then eventually the title match will come. It'll be.
The thing is, though, I'm not going to go as far as to say this is the end. We'll lose Wyatt soon. He's so good on the mic, and the character is that unique, perverse, and twisted that if they needed it, if they suddenly just we fucked up and we want to fix this, get him a guy to go against that could sell strong, and Wyatt will then sell the story.
Yeah, look at how they've booked Rusev, as this incomparable monster you can't be beat. Why didn't they give that same treatment to Wyatt, but in a more mental?
All I'm just thinking is now, you could just have Wyatt just playing mind games with Rusev.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that'll happen. But
it never happened, but
ironically,
this is the thing though. Because he's so good on the mic and telling a story and selling a story, he could go against anyone.
Yeah, he can sell a rivalry with anyone on the roster as a face or a heel. If they decide to go that route, because there's definitely that option there for him. It is ironic with Harper having his segment this week, and he is going to singles action. It's not like he's going to fight Wyatt or anything like that. It's just he's going off to wrestle solo. So it looks like Wyatt, and now he's going to have Rowan as his henchman. We're going to talk about that more with the Raw.
It's not like Rowan could do much himself.
Yeah. I mean, I think Harper, at least at the short term, has the most chance to get something going for him. Not Bray. I think Harper will actually have the most chance to go something for him. Short term. But long term, that may change. I think they haven't done well by Bray this year. And we're going to talk about another guy, because you did ask a further question on that comment. He asked our opinions on the Sheamus and Cesaro feud, whether we see it continuing or not, and if we think that Cesaro has suffered, because of the stunt in his rise. So first of all, let's go back to the start. Sheamus against Cesaro, that is done. So you won't be seeing that again. As of this week,
he's now in the IC story.
Yeah, it looks like him and Miz essentially swapped.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing how that goes from there. And I do firmly believe that Miz will be feuding with Sheamus going forward. Now, you could still see a Sheamus versus Cesaro match, but it doesn't seem that way, per se.
No, we're not going to see it anytime soon.
No. But in terms of Cesaro, I think Cesaro is a lot like Bray. I think that they really missed the chance to propel this guy to a completely different level for where he was.
Especially where he... What, you mean... So, let's go WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then it just went crash.
Yeah, it went shit after that, didn't it? The whole Paul Heyman thing just did not work. And, I'm going to say categorically that his rise was stunted because WWE did not know how to book him.
Yeah.
All they had to do, and it's very easy, was make him a face.
Yeah. Just let him swing people around. That's all they needed.
They took so much out of Cesaro's character that got him over. First of all, the Real Americans theme song, I think, was a lot of part about Cesaro walking in. Now he has one of the worst themes in the company. This sort of amazing strong, does amazing feats style that he was going for, that got removed because he was barely doing any of that stuff. He wasn't exactly like suplexing Big Show on a weekly basis and stuff like that. And then they took away the best move in his arsenal, the swing. They told him to stop using it because it was getting too much of a face response. Well, you know what? Just pull the trigger and make the guy a face.
That's it. Oh, it's getting too much of a face response. Well, you know what that means.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Yeah. I mean, the whole Daniel Bryan thing should have taught WWE one thing. And they should have listened and learnt a lesson. Sometimes, if the fans want something, give it to them. Easy. If you don't give it to us, eventually we'll get bored and we won't care anymore. Now you've got to tease it and stuff, but it's not as if they've been doing that. It's not as if they paired him up with Heyman. Heyman was still being heel, but Cesaro still was playing to the crowd and he was teasing the face turn. They just stopped him. They immediately made him like, no.
That's just like, no, don't look at them.
Yeah.
It's like, just hate them.
They essentially stripped away, piece by piece, everything that made him really awesome to watch. And he still is awesome to watch in the ring. Just going to say that now before people go crazy for that. But they stripped off all the parts of his gimmick and, the whole overall look of the guy. And then they slapped stuff at him. They kept throwing stuff at him and hoping that it would work. And it didn't.
And now he looks like Taz and nowhere to go.
Yeah, it looks like now he came out with a King of Swing stuff. That went. The whole King of Swing stuff is gone. Obviously, because the swing is gone. And then now he's coming up with the Taz stuff. They changed the siren at the beginning of his theme song. Why? The whole theme sucks. Give him a new one. It's baffling. Cesaro's much more baffling than Bray because I just think
he needs to be repackaged. I mean, the thing is, Bray's over. Cesaro is over, but WWE don't want to accept it.
Yeah, I think Cesaro's lost a lot of his gloss. He's had bad 6 months. So has Bray. They've both had. What's weird about it is that they've both had really good years up to WrestleMania, and then afterwards, the whole WrestleMania hangover, it tanked their characters and all the potential that they had for that time. Now, do we believe that Bray and Cesaro can be something? Yes, of course. But whether or not WWE has the attention span to still give these guys, the attention that they need, because WWE have booked them poorly, I'm a little bit worried about that personally. I think they're going to be like, okay, these two guys just didn't work because they didn't get over, even though we basically stopped them from doing so, but they won't see it that way. We'll just get some guys from NXT, slap them up, give them a bunny costume, and see how it works. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a shame. But I will say, one good thing about this was, the comments. So thanks. Thomas Miller is your name. I did make a reference to that because we talked about someone last week and I didn't get their name and I felt bad for it. So, yeah, thanks a lot. That's our thoughts on Cesaro and Wyatt family. We just think they've been really badly booked. That's just the way about it anyway. So, Matt, I'm going to ask you a question now because it is our fail of the week.
Okay.
You love fails of the week, don't you?
I do
Of course
indeed.
we do love fails of the week. And it is a WCW one this week. Because it's like the treasure trove of fails. Now, last week we covered Battleground, but obviously this is stuff. I'm going to ask you a question. You may not be ready for this, but Matt, are you a fan of Kiss?
Yes.
Okay. You like their music, the whole gimmick? I like all the stuff,
I like Kiss, yeah.
all the face paint, Gene Simmons with his tongue, bit
That's it.
pervy, but whatever, that's what got over in those times. I still listen to some of their songs today.
Yep, whenever it comes on, I'm always happy to hear it.
Yeah, I want to party all night long.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, I like Kiss. You like Kiss. I imagine some of our fans like Kiss. Apparently so did WCW, though. Apparently a little bit too much. They paid Kiss $500,000 to perform at one live show in Nitro.
Yep.
When we watch wrestling shows, we want to watch stories that revolve around professional wrestling. If I want to watch a concert or music, I will go to a music channel.
Yeah.
Very easy there.
I will go to all. It's like, a concert. I will go to this concert.
Yes, exactly. So, WCW didn't, or Eric Bischoff, whoever was in charge at that time, I don't know exactly where in the time frame this was. Who was to blame, for this tragedy. Yeah. So Kiss, they did a performance, as good as they can, fair enough. But people thought exactly the same as we did, that if we want to watch music, we'll go elsewhere to listen to it, or we'll buy a ticket and see them, because
that's it.
That's the way it is.
It's the way it works, isn't it?
Everyone else thought the same thing. The segment did one of the lowest ratings in the Monday Night Wars. It tanked. It was horrendous in terms of ratings. People were like, okay, you know what I'll do? There seems to be a good match on Monday Night Raw. I'll switch the channel.
Yeah. Oh, save me, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame. Do you know what the funny thing about this is, right? This actually gets worse. Do you think, okay, misstep by WCW. They paid out of the arsehole to get Kiss on there, but WWE have done the same thing. They've brought P. Diddy out, Flo Rida, and we thought they sucked as well.
No. We will think back to the good days where we had Motorhead and POD.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But there was also bad times. Yeah. So, WWE aren't resolved, and they've done it as well. So, we could even say they're fails of the week. Now, this goes further. WCW, to get Kiss on the show, not only paid $500,000, which they did do, for one show, their Kiss Demon gimmick had to become a full part of the active wrestling roster and would feature in main event matches.
No.
What?
I forget that.
That's like Iron Maiden playing a show and saying, we want Ed to be in matches. No! That's moronic.
You're selling short. Like, you're sort of just like, I don't give a shit about my company. Yeah, fuck it, why not? Let's just have... Well, obviously, WCW did it with David Arquette, but...
Yeah, it's not the... We obviously covered that as well, the whole David Arquette shamble. But even David Arquette, at least he's a guy, and they did the shock... Oh, the celebrity one, now we're going for it. A fucking Kiss Demon. And obviously, once they shook hands and the Kiss Demon was part of the roster... WCW didn't.
Champion.
He didn't become champion.
No, I know.
That'd be even crazier. But obviously, then they had it in contract. They had to put the guy in a main event match. They skipped out on the main event match that they did because they realized this is going to be bad. No one's going to want to watch this. But obviously, because it was part of the contract, Kiss had done this. They, it was part of what they do. The Kiss Demon did wrestle a main event match. It did not go well, of course,
No.
and it was in like a main event tag team match, so it wasn't really that far involved. That was pretty much the only match he was ever involved in on the show. There
But
you
hey,
are.
it was a main event.
Yeah, Kiss got their deal. Kiss are obviously sitting pretty. They had exposure, not much exposure because it was a really low rating, but they got $500,000 in their pocket. They're fine for one show. And WCW out $500,000. They have to deal with the fact they have a Kiss Demon on their roster, and they have to put it in a main event match. Who, in their own right idea, thought it was a good idea to sign that contract?
Does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah. We're going to talk about a segment later on the Raw show that involves a lot of people dressing up like things.
Oh God, yeah.
You can expect a similar style rant when we get to that section of the show. But yeah, I'm sure you could probably find footage of the Kiss Demon or maybe the Kiss concert or anything along those lines. Shocking stuff.
It is bound to be out there.
Shocking stuff from WCW. The Kiss Demon's career was short-lived, and thankfully so. But I still like Kiss.
Of course. I ain't going to blame Kiss for it.
Exactly. They partied all night long with that $500,000, I imagine.
That's it.
Okay, so our Raw review, where basically we break down every segment of Raw if you're new to the show. We review every segment as it comes up on the show. We give our thoughts on the show as a whole. This is a mid-monther. We use that term because it's the build-up to another event. It's not off a pay-per-view. It's not leading to a pay-per-view. These Raws typically aren't very good. Just coming out there. This show is off the heels of one of the worst. In fact, it was the worst watched show of the year for WWE. It was the one that had the lowest ratings for WWE. So, and that even had John Cena on it. A lot of the times when this will happen, and the last time this happened, actually, when they had a really low rating for a show, John Cena wasn't there. It was one of the only Raws that he wasn't involved in. So you can imagine that's fuel for Vince McMahon saying, "We just want John Cena on every single show."
That's it.
He was on last week.
Why wasn't John there?
Yeah, exactly. So, Cena was there last week. They've got nothing. That's something that Hogan used to do in WCW. He would go, because he had creative control of his character, he would go away on weeks that the NBA playoffs and stuff were on, because obviously they would have lower ratings. And then when he'd come back, he would state that, the ratings are up because I am here. Now, obviously, some of that would be true because he's Hulk Hogan, but he's kind of playing it up a little bit. So Hogan would do exactly, do that thing, but, to make himself look good. But still. Not that Cena would do that, I'm not saying, but that's something that Hogan used to do. So, bearing in mind Hogan was on this week's show. It's in Chicago that the alarm bells are ringing.
Instant controversy.
Yeah, that's it. The home place of a certain CM Punk, who walked out on the company, is no longer with them.
Of one man known as Phil Brooks.
Yes. So you can imagine there was going to be a lot of chance. There weren't nearly as many chances as I thought there would be, but there was still chance.
But do you know why there was not nearly enough chance?
They were removing some of the signs and stuff, weren't they?
No.
When they replayed it back or something, they re-edited out some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just were you not thinking that for a Chicago crowd, they're quite quiet tonight?
Yeah, well, obviously...
That's WWE just quick, just dub it out.
Well, they did the editing and stuff post-show, so for the actual live show, it was still there. But I know when you watch stuff like their WWE Experience, or basically capsule stuff that's happened in the week, you're not going to hit any CM Punk chants where there were CM Punk chants. That's how WWE want to do it now. And they were removing CM Punk signs at the show. So,
but the thing I quite like is just looking in the crowd, it's there's still Punk t-shirts. There's still people with the tape and the crosses on the back of their hands. Yeah. I was like, I like this. Yeah. It's not like WWE go, now we expect you to go in topless.
Yeah, exactly.
Just take a free t-shirt. You ain't wearing that.
Well, some people did get free t-shirts, so there we go.
Really? Well,
on this show, yeah.
Sorry, I was really? Oh, wait, the segment, yeah.
That's it. So the last time WWE were in Chicago, they played the Punk card really well in an excellent Heyman promo. Remember him sitting down, cross-legged in the ring.
Wasn't it gold?
It was very, very, very good. So. It was also the beginning of October, so it's the start of their Susan G. Komen partnership for cancer awareness. So the pink rope is back, a lot of the pink shirts are back, along those lines.
I noticed how it's Oh, like a lot of the superstars are wearing pink. Like I remember a point where they each had like their own standard T-shirt, just pinked up.
Yeah.
But now it's just like, nah, I just got one T-shirt this year.
Yeah, a few people had the pink, but as you say, there was a lot of the standard Susan G. Komen. I think it was like conquer. It was like a Brock Lesnar style. We're going to conquer cancer, which I'm fine with.
Yeah,
Go Brock Lesnar on cancer. We don't mind, honestly. We want that stuff. We want cancer to be beaten, of course.
that's it. We can deal with that.
That's it. So the pink shirts are back and stuff like that, so you can expect it all the way through this month. Some people have the audacity to say that it's this again. Well, you know what? Think of that next time one of your family members or loved ones has breast cancer. Yeah?
That's it.
Just think of that, Idiots. Anyway, the show starts. I laugh about this now. The show starts with the Authority. I don't know why that makes me laugh. It's just, I don't even have to say it. I should just record it, me saying it once, and just play it at the very start of every single time we do this, because, that's the way it is. Steph starts off the show. She comes out with Triple H, and immediately she does something that WWE doesn't do quite a lot. They referenced the chants for CM Punk, and she stated that the crowd is chanting for a quitter because the crowd are quitters too.
I was like, bravo.
Yeah,
slow clap for you.
It's easy heat, isn't it? But it's good
so
heat.
easy.
Like, it's like WWE been a little bit afraid to poke the bear. Why not? You used to poke the bear a lot back in the Attitude Era, and look where that got you, the strongest ratings that you've ever had. Poke the bear every now and then, because it was good heat, Come on, we don't expect, the Stephanie McMahon to keep her lips shut the entire time about CM Punk. We expect her character to at least say something, So
That's it.
And come on, people getting really, this is just such a slap in the face to CM Punk. Come on, guys, this is professional wrestling. This wouldn't be the first time something was at least referenced,
That's it. It's like, you don't like it, man.
Yeah, like Bischoff referenced a wrestler getting stabbed. So come on,
That's it.
Get it right.
Someone's butt hurt. Someone get the wambulance.
Yeah, that's it. So Triple H says that obviously Dean Ambrose has stolen the briefcase. He did that on SmackDown. Said it's a symbol of the business, and he won't take disrespect for this business. I remember a time just before the network and everything launched, and everything was best of business. He would say the word business a lot, and I just remind
business.
Yeah, this business. He would say quite a bit.
Business.
This brings up Paul Heyman. He says that Brock is disrespected, that people believe that Cena was close to beating him. And obviously with Rollins stamping on his head and trying to cash in, that whole spiel. This brings out Seth Rollins, who's obviously briefcaseless. This promo, you may be thinking, is going on a little bit. It goes on a little bit longer, unfortunately. Rollins says that he acted alone. The Authority were not behind it, and that's
it. They didn't send him out to cash it in. They didn't tell him to curb stomp Lesnar. They're just like, he seized the opportunity. I didn't quite like the whole sort of but you're a businessman, Paul. You're a man of opportunity.
Yeah.
Which is completely true with how, ECW came to be.
Yeah, I mean, Heyman, famously scratched and clawed for every little piece of success that ECW got. It's got into where it was now, so... Yeah, I thought Rollins' part in this was actually fairly bearable,
Yeah.
It seemed although the whole thing smelled of being scripted, it was at the very least the most watchable part of it. He did drop a line where he says, "I think we can all agree that none of us want to see John Cena as champion again." I say hallelujah.
Biggest cheer of the night.
Sing it, brother. Testify. Bring out Devon. Why not? No, of course he's with DNA, but still. He then apologises for cashing in. Heyman says that next time Rollins tries to cash in, he'll deal with Lesnar. I guess when Rollins does cash in, the whole process of cashing in is him dealing with Lesnar. So yeah.
Eventually he'll deal with Lesnar.
Yeah. Triple H squares up to Heyman before he leaves. It does seem to me, right? Not teasing.
Well, it's because Heyman was making the sort of the legal, trying to push for legal threats, wasn't he?
Well, I see that it does open up a very small window. I don't want people to run away with this, but the idea of Lesnar coming back as a face to annihilate the Authority as a face when the time comes, being the beast they can't defeat and maybe be, So he's not really being like, he's not coming out and saying, I love the fans and please, he's not going to do
But
that.
sort of like, I'm sick of you being the boss.
I'm going to destroy you.
I'm Brock Lesnar. I should be the boss.
Yeah, I'm going to make Paul Heyman the boss of everything, and I'm going to be, the guy that's on top of whatever.
It's sort of like making Lesnar like the strongest of two evils.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, he would be the face in that argument, because it's like him fighting against the entire Authority. Triple H, Rollins, Kane, Orton, all of them, and you could go from there. Yet again, it's only just a sort of inkling, and I don't expect it to happen, but still, that would be kind of cool. If they were to turn Lesnar face, that would be the ideal way to do it.
Yeah.
So, Seth, Seth here was alright. Seth then he calls out Ambrose. As you can imagine, this segment is going on a lot. People leaving the ring, people coming out of the ring, people going into the ring, people appearing on Titantrons, getting a little bit convoluted. Ambrose appears on the Titantron, and he just simply tells him, if Rollins wants it, you can come and get the briefcase. As Rollins goes out, Cena then comes out and attacks Rollins, and Rollins gets the hell out of Dodge. This was a lengthy 15-minute opening promo that had way too much different stuff going for it and just didn't have any bite.
No,
there was.
I didn't take it. I was just sort of like, stuff's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I know I say this every week, but come on, guys, wouldn't you want the match that would happen after this particular promo to be the opener to the show? Just switch those two segments. That way, people are going to be like, "Yes, we're pumped up for Raw. We just seen this amazing match." Not have a promo that sucks the wind out of them before the show barely begins. So
lovely sales. Shame if someone took the wind out of it.
That's it. Yeah, this is soap opera acting. I'm not a fan of soap opera acting. We know that their creative team does have soap opera background, so that's why you're getting this sort of stuff. But
unfortunately,
it wasn't a good promo. I'm just going to say that categorically now. And you look at the actual talking talent they have involved in there. Heyman, Steph, Cena, who's good. Ambrose, who's excellent. Triple H on his day can be good as well. Rollins, he's been better on the mic than I thought he would be. To have a segment so ordinary, a bit shocking, really. But there we are. So then after this, backstage, Triple H sends JB Noble and Joey Mercury. I love these guys. I love for our younger fans to think these guys are just agents and they didn't actually have an in-ring career before being people.
It's like,
yeah. Interesting story about Joey Mercury, right? You must know this as well, Matt. You may have forgotten it. Joey Mercury actually was in a lot of financial trouble. This is before he came back to WWE to work as an agent, and he had problems with his payments on his house and that sort of stuff. Guess who was the guy to bail him out?
Vince.
No.
Who?
CM Punk.
Ah.
Interesting as they're in Chicago.
I didn't know that.
Just wanted to say
I know Vince has been sort of one to help out with like financial problems in the past, sort of thing.
Yeah, but with his bigger, older stars, I would say.
Yeah.
Joey Mercury wouldn't be that. But yeah, I'm sure, I think that on one of CM Punk's DVDs, Joey Mercury was a part of that, and he talked about how CM Punk basically wrote him a check. And, he's...
I do remember that.
You remember it now, yeah. That's it, yeah.
After seeing the Best in the World documentary.
That's it, there you go. I knew you'd remember it, because I knew you saw the thing, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah, with sending Noble and Mercury to go and get it, it's not exactly sending the cavalry to go and get Ambrose.
Oh, look, the cruiser division's here.
Yeah, it does... It does make me remind me of the days when Vince McMahon was set out Patterson and Briscoe to go and do stuff for him, but they were completely out of their element. Just are we witnessing the birth of the new Patterson and Briscoe? We'll soon see, because these guys, Noble and Mercury have had more airtime, the last couple of weeks than they ever had in years. Sometimes when they were even on the active part of the roster. So interesting. Opening show of the night. For the second week in a row, the Intercontinental title was on the line. Wasn't a rematch, though, because Cesaro was involved. Cesaro, Ziggler, and The Miz. And, I made a note here that, whenever I see Cesaro, I almost get teary at the lack of potential that's used. We went through that earlier on. But if you look at it, right, going into a little bit more of that, just looking at the note I made here, is that... considering how he could have been booked, the very idea that Cesaro could have already had a match against Brock Lesnar by now. Wow. Just such an awful post-Mania season, but still. This match, however, awesome.
Yeah.
Very, very good. High
Strong.
quality.
I liked it.
There was a segment, there was a part in this match where there was a bunch of quick 2 counts, roll-ups, pinfalls, rolls over, they were reversing everything.
Yeah, and sort of like broke the pin for a schoolboy, broke the pin for a sneaky roll. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that the referee may as well broken his fucking wrist, the amount of times he had to slap the mat for 2 counts. Poor guy, man, he must have had to have a hand brace on or something, because, man, he was on the ball, bless him, for a ref, so. But this match, fantastic. Easily match of the night, by far. And what I liked about this match is that it wasn't particularly long. It wasn't like 20 minutes long or anything along those lines. It was an all-action, all-killer, no-filler match. This match didn't have a moment in it where it wasted my time, which is pretty much what WWE should strive to do each week, and they often don't get that. But this match was fantastic, and if there was one match to watch this week on WWE television,
that's it. That
would be one that you would want to watch. It was good. During this match, Sandow's doing his usual stuff, doing his, attacking Vacant again on the outside. Poor Vacant.
Poor Vacant.
Oh dear. So yeah, Mercury and Noble are pushing their weight around backstage. When I say pushing their weight around, just basically gently asking people, "Where's Ambrose?"
Guys, has anyone seen Ambrose?
Yeah.
Guys. That's pretty much the whole thing.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, it was just them. The punchline, however, was them attempting to converse with the Great Khali. They couldn't understand what he was saying. It wasn't funny.
No.
There you go. That's pretty much what we
stereotypical racism.
Yeah. So.
No.
I still remember that picture you sent me of what if he's actually telling us like future spoilers in matches and we just don't understand.
What if he's dropping pipe bombs?
Yes, that's it. Oh my goodness, we just don't know. We're not ready for it. We're not ready for Carly's.
We just don't know.
Not ready for Carly's might work. I can barely say that with a straight face. Anyway, a pre-taped video package for Luke Harper. This is the one we talked about earlier on. Bray is saying, but essentially, I'm setting him free, and this is, I can tell you categorically now. When they say setting him free, he's still going to be loosely involved with the Wyatt family. When I say loosely involved, he's still going to be a heel. He's still going to do roughly all the same things. He's just going to be having his first foray into solo competition. He's not going to be in a tag team with Rowan anymore. So, and at the end of the day, a lot of people will be like, oh my god, they're doing this, it's so awful, why they're splitting up the tag team. I think they've already missed the chance to make the tag team something really, truly special. So, and they can still have a Wyatt's tag team, just with Bray and Rowan now, instead of having Harper and Rowan and having that wasted potential.
I think it's because Rowan needs all the help he can get.
Yeah, out of Rowan and Harper, we knew who was going to be the first person to get out of that team and start doing singles matches. It sure as hell wasn't going to be Rowan, because as much as I like Rowan, he does have the good monstrous look and he does his role very well. He's nowhere near as technically gifted as Harper is.
Not even close.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought the reason I liked this promo, it was because it was almost as if the Wyatts were going back to their roots of when they first debuted.
Yeah.
These are sort of creepy promos that I think they should aspire to do more often than not with Bray. Often what they'll do is that they'll say, okay, you've got 20 seconds in a darkly lit room, do your thing, and 20 seconds is barely anything to do. You can't do a good promo in 20 seconds.
Oh, no.
Or, you might be able to do a decent one, but it's not going to be memorable. There's no way of doing it. So. But yeah, I'm excited for Harper to start doing singles matches. I think he can have some very, very good singles matches, and maybe he'll start rivaling with some decent people soon. Mercury and Noble, they're told by the authority that they will be fired if they don't find Ambrose. I wonder how gravelly Stephanie can get her voice, like her father's. It's going to take a bit of gurgling, I think, maybe. Yeah. Uh, so in comes Sandow. This is after they found hot dog sauce on Jamie Noble, who was apparently eating hot dog.
Like mustard down his face.
Yeah, I don't know why they added it in. It was a little bit stupid, really, but still.
Yeah.
So in comes Damien Sandow, who is incensed. Obviously, he's playing the part of The Miz, because that's what he does now.
Yep.
He is essentially stating, "Oh, that's ridiculous. I didn't get a one-on-one tag match. I want to get another IC title match." While Miz is just in the corner,
Good. My leg hurts.
Yeah, there's something along those lines. Triple H does something here, which I do not agree with. He puts the guys down pretty bloody hard, saying that, oh, great, you make me laugh. That's their job. Now, fair enough. If you want the face to make these guys look silly, that's what the face's job is. But for a heel to do it, it does damage to Sandow and Miz. I mean, these guys need as much help as they're going to get fan response and everything along those lines. It makes them look second rate. The whole thing, like this week, it was a very big departure from what JBL and all commentary has been saying about the Miz. He's a movie star, he comes from Hollywood, all these people want to be with him, he's trying to get this gimmick over. But sometimes then it's just WWE flip it on its coin one week and they're like, well, your gimmick doesn't matter, we're actually just going to think it's shit and we're going to tell people it's shit.
Like, quick change.
Yeah, it was a bit of damage done to the Miz's character and Sandow as well, because he's very strongly linked now to the Miz.
Unfortunately.
I didn't like that part. It seems like they still want to assert their authority, all pun intended. They can do it in different ways. There's people there that they can diss on. It doesn't have to be heels that are trying to make themselves hated. It seems a bit odd. So essentially, what he says there is one of the things that he says here is that to Triple H anyway, he says that if Miz barges in again, his straight to DVD career is over.
He's going straight to the unemployment line. I liked that.
So it sets up Sandow against Sheamus. So that's the match that's going to happen later on. But yeah, you know what? It's funny. Next time WWE rubs its eyes and shakes its head and doesn't know why some of their characters aren't getting over, it's because they dismiss them so easily some weeks.
Yeah.
You wouldn't find the likes of when back in like 20 years ago when gimmicks meant a lot more, you wouldn't see the likes of Vince McMahon shooting down people like that. You just wouldn't see it happening. So
no, not at all.
Anything along those lines, because they need to get these gimmicks established. Now it doesn't mean as much, but still etched on me a little bit still. Rosa Mendes versus Layla.
Oh yeah.
The first of 3 Divas matches, all of which was shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.
That's that done.
Now, unfortunately, we have to talk of which Rosa Mendes against Layla. So this is a total Divas match. They showed clips of apparently Natalya and Tyson Kidd having issues. I've watched the show. They barely have a show where they don't have issues. They should just get divorced. I know.
I quite like. I haven't seen an episode, but I did sort of like. I saw a picture, and it's just like, I would never give him something as terrible as that, because apparently you got her like a treadmill or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'd never give something as terrible as that, and then it shows this piece of shit painting that she did of. Do
you know the thing about that? That painting also cost us another Total Divas match on Raw.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like, what? It's ridiculous, but. I know it's all fake and everything like that, but they perceive Natalya and Tyson Kidd's relationship to be really shit. Really, really bad. I mean, you look at them as, Natalya being, the face of the Divas division, of Total Divas, no less. And, they have a worse relationship than Stephanie McMahon and Triple H does. I mean, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon have, like, the ideal on-screen relationship, They're always out, they're always kissing each other, giving each other cuddles, and telling how much each other how much of a man, this lot, just
Maddie's husband.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So the whole thing here is that obviously because they played that, you got to think Natalya and Tyson Kidd aren't in the match, but because that was the reason why they're out there, that was all the reason for the cameraman to spend little to no time on the actual match.
For what reason? That's it. Nothing more.
Yeah, because it's the Total Divas storyline, guys, remember? Come on! It's Total Divas! Yeah, what was the point in booking the fucking match then? Like, if it's got Rosa Mendes and Layla, why? Rosa Mendes, by the way, is shocking in the ring, Eva Marie style, and at least Eva Marie to some small degree of credit, hasn't been in the business nearly as long as Rosa Mendez has.
Yeah.
All that Michael Hayes defense that she had over those years, it means you didn't have to take a single fucking bump. And now it's like, it's showing us just how bad she is in the ring.
So you've actually got to work. I don't want to work.
Yeah, it's just, if you're going to spend far more time on Natalya and Tyson Kidd arguing in the corner, then why would you have a match? Why? Why? WWE sometimes uses the excuse that they don't have enough time to get over their new stars, that they need more time. When the extra hour's filled with stuff like this, really? There's no way you could say that. Surely you've got more than enough time, too much time on their hands to get new stars over. In fact, it looks like they have too much time that they know what to do with, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Now, Layla wins. The crowd literally, I think there was a pin dropped somewhere along those lines, and I must have heard it, because there was no one, cheering.
Nobody gave a shit.
No one gave a rat's ass. Natalya and Kidd have an argument over him listening to music all the entire time. I'm with Kidd. If I had the choice to listen to the match, or watch the match, or listen to some music off my phone, damn well what I'd do.
That's it.
So I'm with Kidd on this one. Still, just a real waste of time. There was no point having this match. Yeah, it really wasn't. It's like they booked the match because they wanted to have Natalya and Tyson Kidd have an argument outside the ring. That isn't correct. That's
not how you do it.
That. Yeah, it's really bad. The first of 3 bad Divas matches. There were 3 of them on this show. So Ambrose arrives with the Money in the Bank briefcase in his position, and man, Ambrose has this sort of uncanny ability, almost like Brock Lesnar has, that when he appears, the show is about to pick up. JR, Jim Ross style, things about to pick up. So I've equated him to being like a shining light in the middle of festering poo.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you
it's like, oh, look, shiny diamond. It's covered in shit. But it's a diamond nevertheless.
Yeah. Especially, coming hot off the heels of a talented Rosa Mendez versus Layla match. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God, yeah.
He comes out with a bunch of stolen T-shirts from the concession stand. Gets all charitable on the crowd. Starts an impromptu auction.
That's it.
This brings out Noble and Mercury, who are the new Authority goons. And then Ambrose tells him, you know what? If you want the briefcase, you come and get it. Noble America, maybe we'll just get fired instead, and they decide just to go out, just leave it,
Yeah.
For now, anyway. During this, Ambrose is like, you know what? I'm just going to give the shirts away for free. Such a charitable guy, that guy is,
That's it.
Good guy. Even though these poor 3 girls, they got their fingertips. They were on the front row. They got their fingertips on one of the shirts. They couldn't quite grab it. It was just out of their grasp. A guy with longer hands probably would have been able to pick it up. Ambrose comes by, picks it up, throws it right behind them. So these 3 kids in the front row didn't get anything, but still.
It's like, yeah, no.
Literally fingertips away from a little bit of Ambrose goodness. That sounds weird. Okay, I'll go back on that. Let's not go any further before we start a shameless pay-per-view plot, shall we? And then out comes Rollins. He's flanked by security personnel, or rosebuds, as Ambrose calls them.
Yeah.
Great line, though. Just as I thought you guys were rosebuds last week.
I'm pretty sure I saw you guys last week.
Yeah. Then he gives up the briefcase for free. Rollins, obviously, because he's the heel and he's a bit stupid, doesn't put 2 and 2 together. He's just giving me the briefcase. Something must be up here. No, Rollins doesn't think that. He opens it up and gets blasted with ghost ectoplasm.
Yeah.
Green goo for you guys that don't know what we're talking about there. All I could think of was South Park. I know it may sound a little bit dirty, but that scene of South Park where he's drenched in his own juices, let's say, and he's it's gooey ectoplasm. I just thought, I can only think the same thing. But yeah, a cool moment. Much more cleaner promo than the one that opened up the show. Probably because Ambrose had a much more bigger part of actually, leading it forward. Renegade Ambrose is one of the few reasons to be excited about Raw each week. The whole Renegade Ambrose angle is very enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't fail to impress this week. It was a good, and most importantly, it was a memorable segment. It was something
that much is true.
Yeah, it's something that is going to stick in the mind for a while. It was a little bit unique. It had something to it, and it played it well. It did something for the face while making the heel look stupid. Every now and then the heel's going to get the one over on the face. I mean, Rollins stamped his head into concrete, so that time has come and passed.
Yeah.
Time for the face to start making him look a little bit silly. This is just classic booking. You know what? Classic booking works. Just go for it every now and then. Just you don't need to get too fancy. I just thought of the idea of maybe Muhammad Hussein coming out and being about a terrorist bomb or something along those lines, but still, not back to those.
No.
After that segment, we got another authority segment, another one. Jesus, they were all over this show. They really were.
Spoiling us.
Yeah. Orton looks like he's laughing his arse off over the whole thing. We were too, so that's cool. Triple H sets up Cena and Ambrose against Orton and Kane. Orton doesn't seem so pleased with this. He's wrestling Cena again, so there we are. And then the Money in the Bank briefcase starts vibrating. So when it starts vibrating, Matt, what did you think was in there? Our show isn't PG, so you can tell us what you really think.
I didn't even jump to the Seth Rollins has a dildo. I didn't even jump to that. I was just like,
maybe I'm a bit more dirtier than you, because I thought you might have the big black mamba in there or something along those lines.
I genuinely didn't stoop to that level. I was like, eh.
So you might have thought it was an electric razor after all, which is what Rollins says it was.
That's it. I was like, meh.
But no, maybe it's because I talking to the South Park earlier on. I'm playing the South Park game, and you can get stuff like dildos and stuff like junk and weapons. It's just a bit weird.
That might just be it.
Maybe it was firmly in my mind.
Your brain.
Dildos on the mind, shall we say? And that is not going to be the name of this week's episode. So, or maybe will it be? No. Next match: Mark Henry against Bo Dallas. Seems like if Rusev beats someone, then Bo Dallas will talk to them and have matches with them.
It's like, you failed.
Henry comes out to apologise again, as you say there, Matt. Bo Dallas comes out and does essentially the same thing as what he did to Jack Swagger. Says that he should shut down the Hall of Pain and join the Hall of the Bo-Leavers. I can't think of a less scary place for you to visit, Matt.
No, just...
Would you like to visit the Hall of the Bo-Leavers?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'll get you tickets.
I don't want to go.
Present? Maybe, Christmas is coming up. Yeah? No? You don't want to... Okay.
No, you can't make me go.
Okay. I think personally our listeners should comment to say if we should start a petition for you to go to the Hall of the Bo-Leavers.
No.
I think that's maybe what should happen.
No.
So, yeah, as we said, it's basically Dallas fighting Rusev's sloppy seconds. He reeks of a guy, Dallas. He reeks of a guy that management has absolutely no long-term plans for.
That's it. Are we building up a story for someone else? Yes. Did they fail? Yes. Chuck in Dallas.
Dallas, yes. There you go. Just put it in, yeah. It just seems like week to week they're just kind of making it up as they go along. Why not have a 6-month plan for Dallas as one of your guys that came up for NXT? One of your longest-reigning NXT champion, no less. Who has a good gimmick. I think his gimmick can still be good. I think you can still use it, but no, they mucked it up now. They really have. But
we'll just leave it at that, shall we?
So yeah, Dallas then beats Henry in a quick match. Don't get too excited though. I don't think Dallas will be doing much different, going forward. It does look like this paves the way for Henry to have a heel turn as he does attack Bo Dallas afterwards. After he's been congratulated by Renee Young.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it does seem like Henry is going to the heel turn, and it is the only plausible direction for him, all things considered. It's not as if he can continue being a face now, because no one's really going to get behind him after the Rusev thing. And I still stand by he was the right opponent for Rusev, but it does damage Henry a lot to lose to him and have that much on him. So turning him heel instantly gives him something, and he's a much better heel than he is a face. I always stand. What do you think about that?
Oh, that much is true, yeah.
Like, I always think that Mark Henry, the size he is with the whole Hall of Pain stuff, I thought he was most entertaining when he was the Hall of Pain character, and he was really booked by when he was the world champion. No,
that's it.
That was the best time.
And, the proper, the power of Henry sort of thing.
Yeah, when he genuinely, I mean, he's got a badass entrance music, doesn't he? You know, he's always had an awesome entrance music. So, someone are going to get their ass kicked. Maybe a lot of people going forward will get their ass kicked going forward from here. So,
that's it.
We'll see how it goes from there. Commentary, then talk about the WWE Network, and as we said before, conveniently leave out the fact that it was postponed in the UK for another month. Either the company knew that it was going to be postponed much earlier than they announced it, or there's been little to no care to how they sell it to the UK crowd. And yet again, it's just money slipping through their fingers. I honestly don't think that WWE realise how much of a market it is and how much the UK fan base would pay for their product.
Yeah, that's true. It's just sort of like, you sort of seem to be forgetting that. It's like your sort of second largest country. Oh, no, maybe just biased just for being a Brit, but sort of like one of your largest countries, and you're just conveniently forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, come on, they do a tour here every year. I know they do tours of a lot of countries, but you know, they actually do live shows in London and Manchester, you know, for Raw.
That's it.
You know, it's been done. So you'd think they would have a little bit more, they would push it a little bit more. You know, it's something that I wouldn't, if they were to push it and push it a lot, like it's coming out in the UK in the next couple of weeks, I wouldn't blame them for that because it makes sense, you know. In fact, it doesn't make sense, and they're not pushing it over here because it seems like a lot of money on the table. The WWE just really aren't going for it. Considering how hefty they pushed the $9.99 tag on us, and yet they're not going, okay, now it's being released here, and this is where you can grab it all. It's only a short little segment just to relate to their fans. It doesn't make it seem to British fans or European fans. You know, I know a lot of the Europeans do still have it. They've had it for a while, but to the European fans, the WWE doesn't really care, and it's AWE, American Wrestling Entertainment.
That's it.
Not World Wrestling Entertainment. The more they do to incorporate the world aspect of their product, the more money they will make. Simple. So, backstage, Stardust and Goldust. They're talking a bit of bollocks here. I couldn't really follow what they were saying, really.
There was some laughing and some giggling, and I think I heard the mention of the cosmic key, and that was about it.
Every now and then they look at each other and it's like, are you guys gonna kiss? Or it's just a little bit weird, but still. They say everything before winning the titles was science fiction, but now it's science fact. And I do enjoy these segments because they're relatable and relevant now. Not relatable, sorry. That was completely the wrong word. They're relevant. I was like, I don't dress up like that and start talking about cosmic keys in my spare time. Do you do that, Matt?
No, but I'm starting to question you.
You're starting to worry a little bit. Maybe I'm defending it a little bit too much. Maybe I'm talking about it, maybe. Interesting. Maybe I'm wearing face paint right now and staring into like an orb or something. Maybe. Man, it's the internet. You guys don't know. Maybe. Maybe I'm bringing the podcast to you guys each week by power of the cosmic key, which happens to be my router. Yeah, it is. When they were doing these segments before, and we were highly critical of them, is because they kept doing it over and over again. They weren't in the ring. They weren't relevant. But now they are, so I enjoy them a little bit more.
Oh, that's it.
The second of the Divas matches, we've already announced that all of them sucked, so it's just another one. Brie Bella against Cameron and Eva Marie, the Nightmare Team, we're dubbing them.
Yeah. That was the one thing I quite liked. I saw a meme. It's like, this is a handicap match, and then Cameron and Eva Marie come out. It's like, so where's the wheelchair?
That's it, yeah.
Terrible.
So essentially the reason why this match came about is Nikki Bella comes out, essentially repeats all the stuff she said. Remember, she didn't tell anyone, so that's the most important thing.
That's it.
If it was bad then, it's bad now. So if you didn't like it then, you won't like it now. That's basically what it is. She then picks two divas then to face Brie, and she couldn't have picked two of the worst wrestlers on the roster. Male or female, really. So
that's it.
So it is quite funny, your stories. Well, I hear stories from some fans. They're stating that Cameron is trying to get back. She's going down to NXT to train, and then she tries to pin in the wrong fashion, which she did a couple of weeks ago. She obviously didn't learn that much.
That's it. Well, she clearly hasn't just been watching.
Yeah.
Like, even when she was a Funkadactyl doing nothing but dancing, she clearly didn't watch a match.
Maybe she was too busy working the camera. You know, as
I
a
don't
famous
understand
line.
that quote.
It's a Total Divas thing, so...
Exactly.
Oh my god, why am I saying that, but still... the crowd couldn't give a rat's ass about this match. They started chanting for the commentary team. So, there we are.
And all of the commentary team
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was about a 2-minute match, this one. All of it was bad. Brie wins with the most devastating move in wrestling history. The roll-up pin,
Of course.
of course. Claims another wrestler, of course. Just there's no one immune to the roll-up pin. She could have tombstoned these girls and they would have kicked out. But the roll-up pin, no.
Done it.
Brie uses the yes chant at the end of the match. Nothing like stealing a little bit of a husband's popularity while he's gone. Why not? You know, but still. She wouldn't be the first person to use the yes chant. How many face wrestlers on the roster have at some point in their career, since Daniel Bryan got did the whole yes thing and made it a thing, have done it themselves? I remember the likes of John Cena, Big Show, Brie Bella now doing the yes chant. It's just okay. Still, you wouldn't see any people going out there and doing all the Rock's lines and stuff. It's not as if Bryan has many of them. So this is the point here where it goes back to what we said at the start of the show, where the show was the first one of the Susan G. Komen Foundation for breast cancer. I liked what WWE did here because they had Titus O'Neil talking about losing his mother to breast cancer. He's actually spoken to this before. He's actually gone on record and talked about how the cause is pretty close to his heart. And segments like this will always mean more to people watching. It's much more real than what WWE sometimes do, where they just get a bunch of wrestlers looking blankly into a screen going, please act against cancer awareness. Why not find someone on your roster, like they did here with Titus O'Neil, who has genuine, passion to find a cure for breast cancer?
They've done that with Layla in the past as well.
Yeah, and it makes it much more powerful. So I applaud them. I thought it was alright, and it isn't the first time they've gone to Titus for this. But talking to him, that he's being 100% genuine, that this cause is close to his heart. So if they keep doing this going forward, as you can imagine, I imagine Layla will pop up in the next few weeks, having a similar stuff.
Yeah.
And I've got no issue taking a 30 seconds out of my Raw each week to watch this. I'd much rather watch this and raise awareness about something that needs awareness than a Divas match. So there we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Leading into Titus O'Neil, Slater Gator against the Lost Matadors here.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say a lot of stuff in this review of this segment that I never thought I would have to say. Okay.
Okay.
We begin. Adam Rose and a bunny are on commentary. You heard that?
Yes.
So the bunny is on commentary. He didn't say anything, but he was on commentary. This also means that Slater Gator now have their own alligator.
Of course.
Which is played by Hornswoggle, of course. As I was typing this, I was shaking my head. I'm shaking my head now, saying this because the dark days of JBL freaking out over two little people fighting each other dressed up in costumes, it's back, people.
Yeah.
Do you remember JBL blowing a gasket because El Torito's tail was ripped off? He did it again at this show.
Not?
Because Hornswoggle, at the end of the match, had the audacity to roll around on the mat while holding El Torito for the Gator roll. He said that man has a family. So do I. And they wouldn't want to watch it. Because it's crap. It's... Really, we've said before, there's some moments in wrestling that I feel ashamed as a wrestling fan to show to non-wrestling fans that this is what I watch each week. This is one of them. I would be ashamed to show this to my in-laws and say, this is what I watch each week. Aren't I really cool? Really?
No, it's terrible.
Let's go into actually what happened here, because we reviewed things for better or for worse. We reviewed the excellent Intercontinental title match at the start of the show. We'll review this bollocks. So, breathe. We shall begin. They have a match. Not much of a match, but they have a match. There's a distraction That happens, and then Slater Gator gets the victory. This means that the Alligator and El Torito fight. This is where JBL loses his shit again.
Oh, of course.
Then afterwards, Adam Rose comes in with a man dressed as a bunny to distract Slater so the Matadors can attack him again. Then the bunny does the bunny splash. A part of me died.
A part of me died hearing you mention it again.
Yes.
And the bunny, oh, no.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's just move forward. There's a lot of ranting on this episode, and sometimes I feel the WWE are doing it because they know I don't like to rant. But fucking bastard.
But you're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's ridiculous. Like, honestly, guys, if you're watching a show, I can understand some people might find this mildly enjoyable because it's so over the top. But would you show this to your friends and to your family and not feel a tinge of shame that this is what the stuff that you would watch instead of the likes of Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead? Fucking EastEnders is better than this stuff, which you guys might not know is a soap over here in England and Ireland. You know, why would you...
It's terrible. I know.
Yeah. You're consoling.
It's okay.
You're vocally consoling me, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that right now. Lana and Rusev are out. I'm just moving on now because anything forward that I'm going to say, I'm just going to go too mad. So, Lana finishes speaking Russian by showing pictures of Rusev being knocked out by Big Show. She says that Big Show attacked him from behind. They showed him getting knocked out tons and tons and tons over the show already, saying, "Oh, this is the moment that he got knocked out" and stuff like this. Big Show comes out, talks a little bit of trash. It's been a long time since the show actually had a mic in his hands on Raw. Not that I mind that much. He's not one of the top guys I would want to see have a mic in his hands, but still a little bit different. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll go with it.
Yeah. Rusev actually talks here and not in Bulgarian or Russian, wherever he speaks in. He says he's going to pull Show's guts out and he's going to kick him in the groin.
Yeah.
Lovely. Nice. Then Big Show goes to fight. Rusev then bails out. And then the controversial part begins.
Yeah.
Where Big Show essentially tears down the Russian flag and leaves it on the ground. Now, during the week, WWE has filed an apology on their social media, Twitter, Facebook, on their WWE.com, apologising if anyone was offended by the segment. Now, I don't know if I'm in a massive minority here, but I don't get why people are being so annoyed about flags falling on floors or being dragged down and stuff. It's not as if he took down his cacks and shit on the thing.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Back in wrestling days of past, man, do you remember the picture of... I saw a picture, funny enough, of them comparing Big Show just gingerly tearing it down. You know, not even tearing it, just pulling the flag down.
Yeah, just like a quick snag.
Shawn Michaels stuffing a flag up his nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come on, guys. Was anyone really offended by this? It wasn't that bad. You know, maybe I'm different. Maybe people out there, this is a massive travesty, a real insult to the whole nation. I personally don't get it. I know you get it a little bit more than me, don't you? Because you said this before.
Yeah, like I understand it, but like not to this extent. I don't.
Yeah, that's it. I just think it's a pro wrestling show here, and it's a very tame wrestling storyline. He didn't tear the flag, he didn't spit on the flag, he didn't piss on the flag, he didn't throw it in the trash. How do you think they get those flags down? He probably did the production crew a favour by tearing it down.
That's it.
You know? Still, yeah, I just think it could be a lot worse. I think if anyone was genuinely insulted here, come on, it's professional wrestling. And a lot of these same people are like, I can't believe they did this. And people might point to us and go, but guys, you said before when they referenced the Ukraine incident, that was beyond the line. Well, the difference here is that people died during that incident. No one died when that flag came down. There's a bit of a difference, you know? Come on. But I knew someone might come out with that. I just wanted to to cover that. When people
Save it.
People dying is a little bit more of a taboo thing to come out about than a flag gingerly being pulled down from its holdings.
That's it.
And also JBL was losing his shit over that as well, as you imagine.
Oh, of course.
Another Renee Young segment with John Cena. If you've seen one Renee Young segment with John Cena, likeliness is that you've seen what's happening here. Apart from the fact that Ambrose, just walks
Turned up.
behind. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, essentially just, I'm here. He says that the crowd, Cena says that the crowd have been chanting for one man all night long. Come on, guys, you knew he wasn't going to reference CM Punk.
Ambrose. Yeah.
Really. They were saying that the people chanting Ambrose. I know the crowd are into Ambrose. I didn't hear any Ambrose chants. They were into him, but still. Anyway.
There was quite a few signs for him.
Yeah. But it was in the script, Matt, so Cena had to say it.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. Ambrose interrupts anyway, saying that Rollins is his. Cena says that he wants to beat up Rollins. You want to beat up Rollins. I want to beat up Rollins. The fans want to beat up Rollins. Ambrose wants to beat up Rollins. Cena wants to beat up Rollins. We all get to beat up Rollins.
We all beat him up together.
Yeah, and we all skip into the sunset. Yeah. That's how it all ends. No. I just thought it was a bit funny. So everyone wants to. It's like everyone loves Raymond. It's like everyone wants to beat up Rollins.
Yeah, everybody.
The sitcom.
Everyone hates Rollins.
Oh dear. The third match, Divas match of the night, which is also shit. But
I was just thinking, by this point, I was actually so I only watched about 2/3.
Okay.
And I think it was actually at that Cena Ambrose one. I came back into it to finish watching, which was only earlier on today.
Okay.
And I remember mentioning this to you before we started. I was like, do I really want to?
Yeah, do I really want to come back and watch this? For people that haven't heard us before, what me and Matt often do is I watch it at the beginning of the week, and you will often catch it more towards the end of the week, so we get a bit more of a, that we can look at it from a fresh and a not so fresh standpoint.
Yeah, I was just sort of I've got to finish watching Raw, but I don't know if I really want to.
I imagine there's a lot of fans. I would say there, before we get into this Divas match to talk about it, that if I weren't doing this podcast with you each week, I probably would have missed a Raw or two by now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Especially recently, because they haven't been good. AJ Lee against Alicia Fox. And you may be thinking, wow, Tony, you said this match was shit. Well, it still is. AJ Lee can have a shit match, because she isn't given time.
Given shit.
Yeah. If she's not given time to do a good match, and exactly what it was here. Paige comes out to introduce her new best friend, Alicia Fox. Alarm bells slightly ringing here about a Fox-Paige relationship here. The match is over within probably 90 seconds, most.
Yeah.
So yeah, 3 for 3 really bad Divas matches on the show. Why not merge them into one and give one of them at least 5 fucking minutes to do something? That's what I would say.
Oh, God. For a second there, when you were just merge them all together, it's we do not want to go back to the days of the 8 Diva clusterfuck.
No.
I thought you were going with that. Just merge them all together.
Why not have, a 5-on-5 Divas match and have all of them get one hit killed? Yeah, that solves everything. Oh, God.
2-minute match. Done.
Oh dear, the dark days of... at least we've come a little bit forward. Now at least they're giving us one-on-one matches. But still, come on, 90-second matches. Sometimes less than 60-second matches.
I know.
Really. Gone in 60 seconds. I wish they were gone in much quicker than 60 seconds sometimes. Anyway, Alicia Fox gets the win after, the distraction. She gets her Stone Cold beers and goes all Alicia on AJ's ass. I say, by going Alicia, she does absolutely nothing with the cans. So,
yeah.
There we are. And Paige is obviously, saying, I'm going to get my belt back and all this, a lot along those lines. So, yeah, that's essentially it. 3 for 3 really missable, bad Divas matches on the show. Just giving us more matches won't fix it. You need to give us more, longer, high-quality matches. That's how you fix your Divas division, not just throwing more of the same.
The quality.
Yeah, it's quality, not quantity, and that goes for the length of their show as well. You'd have a better show in 2 hours than you ever will with 3. Just stating that there. Another Harper vignette aired. It was exactly the same as the one before, but I didn't mind seeing it. It was still okay, as long as they don't keep airing the same thing again. I didn't mind it being done here. Sheamus against Sandow. Miz is doing his absolute best on commentary here to try and at least salvage the damage done to his character. By
I lost so much interest in this match.
Yeah. Miz is stating stuff on commentary like he's the most important person, that he's, starring in movies. Basically, doing all that stuff. He does also bring up the chaperone, which I applaud him for. I don't know if that was actually in a script or he came up with it. Kudos if he did. But if you don't know what the chaperone is, it's a WWE Studios movie featuring Triple H himself, which sucked really, really bad.
Which tanked terribly.
Yeah. The match ends with Sheamus winning with the bro kick. As you said, it's another forgettable match. It's nothing.
I forgot the match was even going on. All I heard was just like meh. I'm the Miz. Oh, but Miz, but you did that. But I'm the Miz, and I'm a superstar, and no touching the money maker.
Yeah.
The one thing I realised, like, a lot has changed in like 4 years. Yeah. Considering Cole was just like, Miz, but you did this and you're wrong. And it's just like, shut up, Michael. 3 years ago, you wanted to lick his bumhole.
Yeah, he did. He wanted to place his tongue firmly on the Miz's ass. Man, I haven't said that in a while. That's good. I would say that in a long time.
Bring it back for you.
He literally was licking the scrote, of the Miz there. But, yeah, does change for it. But at the same time, in the same breath, those years ago, he was also main eventing WrestleMania. How those years can change, huh?
That is also true.
Yeah. It does look here with the stare down, the fact that Sheamus beat Sandow, but not the Miz, and it looks like it may be leading to a Miz-Sheamus feud, which not exactly anything to get too excited for, I would say. I don't think Miz and Sheamus can have the quality of match that Cesaro and Sheamus had. So.
Yeah.
But there we are. Then out comes Hulk Hogan, and he's talking about the Susan G. Komen partnership that they're having. He misses the network plug. He calls the network the Universe again. He's done that before.
Yep.
He states all proceeds to certain purchases on the WWE shop will go to the Susan G. Komen for the Cure and other community outreach programs. This is what annoys me sometimes. This segment didn't annoy me. It's just I didn't want to get out here. But sometimes when fans are like, "Oh, they're wasting my time with this" and stuff like that. Well, WWE don't actually have to do this, but they do it anyway.
That's it.
They actually, they do it in terms of maybe it's good publicity for them. I imagine it is. But it's like the same stuff with Connor the Crusher. They didn't have to do any of that stuff, but they did it anyway. They're not heartless bastards outside of the business. I imagine there's a lot of people there that want to do good and all this stuff. They don't have to do this stuff. They don't get that much out of doing, the partnership and everything.
That's it. So. What do they get? Nothing. Yeah. Well, good publicity.
They get a little bit of good publicity, but it's they don't have to do it. So
no, not at all.
Other people going, "Oh, they're wasting my time like this." Yeah, again, I'll point you to my previous statement. Wait until one of your friends and family has the same thing, and see if you wonder the same thing then. See if that's really a waste of your time. So,
it's like we've got Hogan. Oh, for nothing more. Like, there's the only thing I had a gripe with. It's like, we've got Hogan to do nothing more than just plug Susan G. Komen.
Yeah. I do agree with you there, that a legend of his stature could have been used more on the show, that they could maybe, if they had done this segment earlier on the show, they could have had him come out and do something with another wrestler. Could have done that would have been fine. But WWE getting this point now that they don't really know how to use their legends effectively. But there we go. That's the way it goes. But I agree with what you're saying there. Yeah, I do agree with that. But sometimes I get really annoyed with some fans and just like, oh, this. It's just.
Yeah.
We're older and wiser, and I guess that we take these things a bit better anyway. Backstage, Orton and Kane are annoyed with Rollins. They don't want to wrestle for him. Annoyed having to wrestle for him again. Steph tells them to do their job and squash their critics. So I can expect Kane and Orton at my door wanting to squash me, maybe.
That's it.
They tease Ascension with the Authority. They've done it so much that I'd be genuinely shocked if anyone actually falls for that anymore, because they do it all the time, and then they're actually stronger than ever, or they're not actually doing it. One of these days they will, and they might have Orton split, maybe go face or something along those lines. I wouldn't want to see it because he's awful as a face. But
Apparently there is talks of a babyface Orton in like 6 months' time.
Orton does his best when he's heel. He's not very interesting at the moment either. But him as a face is even worse. So,
Oh yeah, definitely.
he's not a good face at all. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. But they do this a lot of the time where they tease dissension in the Authority, and it never really goes over. So, Ambrose and Cena against Kane and Orton. This is your main event of the night. It was an okay match, I would say. Not nearly as good as the IC match that started off the show. But it was okay. It peaked with Ambrose's hot tag. It basically built up towards Ambrose's hot tag.
Yep. Especially considering the build-up was just Cena getting hurt, and we like that.
Yeah, that's always fun. That's one thing we like the SummerSlam match for that he had, because he just got suplexed tons of times.
That's it. We don't see that nearly enough.
Yeah, come on. He's only human, so book him like a human. He'll take a beating every now and then, and he doesn't have to go on a rampage and all that stuff. But still, that's a talk for another time, I think. So, as Ambrose does the dirty deeds on Orton, Rollins comes in, breaks the pin for a DQ. Ambrose and Cena then fight over who gets Rollins, but then they get beaten up by the Authority, leading to a curb stomp on the briefcase for both Ambrose and Cena. And then
leading to the greatest chant of the night.
Yes, thank you, Rollins. Echoes throughout the arena to end the show. Thank you, Rollins. Thank you, Rollins. They got to remind ourselves. They said thank you, Rollins, after he curb stomped John Cena, not Dean Ambrose. But there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago is famously anti-Cena because of that awesome.
I love just like the amount of times like Cena's just trying to play it up, like
to appease them.
Oh yeah, like they love me here. It's like you are hated.
Yeah. I mean, if you're right, go back and watch 2011 Money in the Bank main event, CM Punk against him. I have never seen someone booed so much than John Cena on that night. And in the same breath, I've never seen someone cheered to such a degree as I heard that night for CM Punk. It was an awesome stuff with that whole.
It was a great match as well.
Yeah, that from when Punk first came out to the end of the show was 50 minutes of greatness. 50 minutes of absolute glory. Awesome stuff. Some of the best stuff that WWE's done in years. So, there we are. But in overall, in terms of the show had a lot of bad stuff on it. I'm not gonna lie. It does have a lot of crap on it. But there is actually some stuff that you might want to see. Ambrose's antics, which are always fun. You had the excellent IC title match at the start of the night, sorry. But then there's a lot of other stuff. You had the 3 Divas matches, which were all poor. You had the Slater Gator against Matadors with that whole garbage. I
was thinking to myself, like, but you had the Wyatt thing, like the Harper release video.
Yeah, which was good. Yeah,
but you can get that on YouTube. Like,
yeah.
I actually first saw it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's one of the things with us doing the podcast is that we get things often spoiled to us by WWE, no less, on Facebook and stuff like that. I don't have to go searching for it, because as soon as I look at my phone in the morning, I've got WWE going, "Oh, this is what happened last night." It's like, okay, give us at least a day to at least soak it in, guys. Come on. But
that's it.
I understand we're in the UK.
Just let us go, like everyone else in the world, catch up.
Yeah, that's it. So there is stuff to see here. There is stuff certainly to miss. The one thing I will say as a big negative on the show is that it still does very little to set up matches for Hell in a Cell. I know they're doing rivalries, they're setting up things to be matches, but I'm a firm believer that you should start advertising what matches are going to be on your pay-per-view in advance, so that way you're not announcing it like the week before. You're not going to get good buy rates if you do that sort of business.
That's it.
Do these things
like you want at least your main event set in stone by now.
Yeah. No, maybe they've had issues because Lesnar won't be at Hell in a Cell. I guarantee you now, because he's spent so long out. The first 2 weeks building up to it, and they've made no reference to Cena having a rematch. So there won't be a title match at Hell in a Cell. But still, they should have rallied by now. They've had 2 weeks to at least decide that, okay, this is what we're going forward with. Let's start advertising this, putting this on the show. This is the matches that we're going to have.
Like the only thing that we know at the moment for Hell in a Cell is Ambrose is on the poster.
Yeah, that's the only thing. And the show isn't that far away, so there we are. We just have to I imagine next week, I would be very shocked if next week we come out of Raw and say we still don't know any of the matches for Hell in a Cell. They will make some of them on that show. Now we can guess at a few of them, but it looks like it's going to end up being like a 4-man Hell in a Cell match, with probably with Orton, Rollins, Ambrose, and Cena, or maybe they're going to have like a match to see who gets Rollins and stuff like that. Don't know. We'll see how it goes from there. But a lot of the other...
Kind of hate it.
Yeah, like the other rivalries, there's not really much else building up. Yeah, you're probably going to have Big Show against Rusev, because I firmly believe next week's match with Big Show and Rusev will not end in a actual pinfall. It'll be like a DQ, which sets up the match for the pay-per-view, and that's where it will go. There isn't really that much going for Hell in a Cell at the moment, which is a bit of a shame. But we'll see how it all plays out next week. What's your general thoughts of the show before we move on to the final part of the show?
Meh.
It was very meh, wasn't it?
Meh.
And there was some bad stuff on this show, really bad stuff.
It was just meh.
Yeah.
I was just like, I tried to finish watching Raw, and I'm sort of thinking to myself, like, do I really want to finish watching Raw?
Yeah.
Like, I have to. Do I really want to?
You have to do it for the podcast. You have to do it. You have to do it for The Rock.
I have to put Destiny down for 5 minutes.
Which we're going to go play after this, so we'll go back to that. So we move on to our final segment of the week on this very, very packed show of Let's Talk Wrestling podcast for you guys, and this is We Were Wrong, We Were Damn Wrong, and we're going to play you a small little clip of an episode that we launched back on my old YouTube channel, where we did the show, but we didn't do it nearly as professionally and not nearly as good as we do it now. With the relaunch and stuff like that. Basically, we talked about the idea, because JBL came back to do commentary a little bit. He was doing like a show here every now and then, a show there every now and then he was doing his climbs on the dangerous mountains of the world. But then he did actually come back, and he didn't replace King on commentary, but he joined the commentary crew. But we were talking back then on our thoughts of JBL joining the commentary team, and whether we thought that was a positive or negative thing. So I'm going to play that for you guys right now, and we'll talk about it afterwards. So here it is. But back then Lawler was fantastic kind of commentator, one of the best, and he definitely deserves his place in the Hall of Fame. But nowadays, I think that he's lost his pace a little bit, and this is before he had his heart attack and everything. That he was a bit poor, and I hate to say it because like I said, I'm a big fan of Jerry Lawler. But when he did have his heart attack, he went away, and JBL came into commentary. I enjoyed commentary more, and I think it's because JBL he's got bags of confidence when he's on commentary, and he's extremely good at what he does. Like anyone who watches him at the pay-per-views, he can sell these great matches. He can sell wrestlers in the right way. Like he sold Big Show during his match against Sheamus so well. He's just a lot of stuff. I mean, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, do you think that JBL should take him over, or do you think that Lawler's still got something left to give?
JBL is... I remember messaging you during TLC, and it's just like, they're all picking on Cole. Yeah. It's great. But no, I can agree, because JBL... I'm pretty much just going to be repeating everything you said. He's quicker off the mark. He's just generally... He's a more up-to-date, experienced wrestler, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, King's like, when I did it, when you wrestled people who are no longer around.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, JBL is like, he wrestled Cena, he wrestled Big Show, Kane.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
But yeah.
But he's a more up-to-date wrestling commentator, like a wrestler's commentator.
I believe he knows the product nowadays a lot better than Lawler does. And
it was just the one thing that's just I can't remember what it was. Like, they were so terrible. So
you heard the clip, and you could tell there that we were looking forward to JBL being part of the commentary.
Eager, to say the least.
Yeah, we were excited to see the usual mundane Cole against Lawler sort of, dynamic that they had. See something else thrown into that. And possibly even have King have a sabbatical away from commentary, and then have JBL take his place to still have the 2-man booth, because I do prefer a 2-man booth to a 3-man booth. That's
it's because 3 people, like, now that JBL's been there and it's been like a benchmark of it all, sort of like you then realise that like 3 people actually is a lot of going on.
Yeah, and then you get a lot of people coming up on commentary and stuff. That means you've got sometimes 4 to 5 people then on commentary.
Well, look, we had as much as we hated on it where we did the latest review.
Oh, the Florida-Georgia line.
For Florida-Georgia line. It's like 5 people all wanting to talk about Florida-Georgia line.
And not one of them wants to talk about the match. And it's increasingly hard for anyone that does want to talk about the match then to actually get a word in edgeways, because everything is towards one thing. At least when JR and King used to do this, is that JR was in control of the flow of the commentary, and he would cut back to the action in the ring very often. Yeah. He was very much about the chemistry of the match in front of him and trying to call the match. He was a play-by-play. Cole isn't really a play-by-play. He's just the ringleader of the little circus that they have at ringside, really, and basically relaying all the mad messages he gets from Vince, which seemingly now has gone to JBL, because every now and then JBL rocks out a really bad joke or something, and you just think to yourself, that's got Vince McMahon written all over what he just said there. But that's the way it goes from there. But anyway, we were saying JBL, looking forward to him being part of a commentary team if he does. Right now, I do not want JBL on the commentary. He's just outright.
Do you know the thing I find really bizarre is that a 3-man commentary team works on NXT?
Yeah, it does. It does, but I still would prefer a 2-man team even on NXT. But I do get what you're saying. It's much easier to digest. Yeah. Maybe it's the fact it's a 1-hour show in general makes it much easier.
Possibly. But I don't know. I think it's because on NXT they don't have to plug anything.
Yeah, there is that. There's a lot more stuff about the actual in-ring action, about the rises of these wrestlers, their sort of gimmicks and stuff. They're talking more about what happens there. They're debating about what they think about the character and the match in front of them. So that's good. How many times?
Like WWE, it's just like, make jokes, make funny, talk about the network, talk about Slam City, talk about Diet Do,
say $9.99.
Yeah. And maybe mention that something's going on in the ring.
Yeah. Okay, Slam, just say that and then move back to the network. Yeah, just do that. And talk about John Cena and all that stuff, yeah. Just to single out JBL, because that's what we were talking about, JBL being a big part of the commentary team, how we're excited for it. How many times have I just got so sick of JBL getting too excited and getting too into parts of the show that has no reason for him to do so? The show, I can understand JR freaking out when Austin comes down to attack lots of people. He's giving stunners left and right, or he's in this epic match in Hell in a Cell when Mick Foley's been thrown off the thing. He's saying, the guy's dead, because honestly, we thought that the guy was honestly dead.
Yeah, because that's a fair enough assumption.
Yeah. JBL is flipping the switch and losing a gasket when El Torito's tail is ripped off. Really?
Yeah.
That, for one, it makes it seem that JBL is either got a mental deficiency or he is taking the piss. That's the only 2 things I can think of when he's freaking out about that sort of stuff. Did JBL freak out when the streak was broken? No. No, it wouldn't. The whole segment, it didn't call for anyone to freak out. But did he freak out during the match, saying, "Oh, Undertaker's going to lose. I can't believe it"? No. But yeah, he seems fit to freak out and go to the very top of his volume about stuff that really has no right for anything along those lines to happen. And a lot of the times now, I think that JBL's lost his gloss. A lot of the time he would come in and he would add his own flavour. He would be the one that talked the most sense on commentary. Now it seems like now he's talking the most shit out of the 3 out of them. And it's eventually degraded to that fact. I think Vince is in his ear more than the other 3, personally.
Yeah.
And he's got to relate a lot of this stuff that Vince is saying to him. And JBL thinks it's great because he's saying all this stuff and getting in good graces. And I think that personally, JBL without an earpiece on would be a good commentator for a certain amount of time, but I think he's played out. If you remember, Matt, when he was on commentary on SmackDown, this is years ago now, didn't roughly the same thing happen? that he was good for a month or
A bit.
two, and then he got unbearable
Yeah,
very
I mean,
quickly.
I remember a Inferno match, and I think it was like Kane and MVP,
Yeah,
and like for the rest, it was for pay-per-view as well, and it was like a mid-card match, but it doesn't matter. For the rest of the show, even the main event, it doesn't matter. I saw a man get set on fire. Shut up, JBL.
yeah. And he literally could not stop talking about that and only that.
Yeah.
And even then, right, with MVP getting burned, I can at least have a little bit of thing about him freaking out about that. But come on, about every single time that he sees a little person in the ring, JBL loses his shit. He literally goes mental.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. And a lot of the times as well, sometimes he'll come out with very disparaging stuff about wrestlers in the ring. Like, he'll do a lot of stuff that I hated Cole doing when Cole was a heel commentator, where he'd be like, I don't want to watch this is boring. Well, if you think it's boring, then I fucking think it's boring. I don't want to watch it.
That's it.
You know,
You
at
need
least
to sell this strong.
yeah. You think when NXT first came out and Cole was a heel commentator during that time, one of the big reasons why the NXT format back then didn't work is because you had people on the very people that are commentating the show actively said this is shit. Well, how the hell do you think how am I supposed to get into the show if you think it's a piece of garbage? It's ridiculous. Why would you? It seems like that's committing like show suicide.
That's it. Like, way, sell it strong.
Yeah. I think JBL does more to damage characters than he does build them up. But when he first came in, I praised him for the fact I think he was talking a lot about the Big Show, and he was really putting over the fact that this Big Show was this big behemoth giant, a guy that should be feared and also respected on the same front. When was the last time JBL spoke in the same manner about anyone in the ring?
That's it.
Bar maybe Brock Lesnar, but the whole commentary
Couldn't
team
tell
has
you.
done that. You know, so would I take JBL off commentary now? Yes. Would I take Cole off commentary now? No. And people might be shocked about that. But I actually think Cole does a semi-good job in the role that he's in. You know, he has a very... JR himself actually abdicates for Cole and says that he actually does a good job because JR wouldn't be able to, you know, stay in touch with all these social media stuff and all the business side of everything and make sure all these references are put in there. Obviously, they're being told to do. But Cole can. He can keep track of it very well. He's at least got some of the know-how and how a lot of these things work. Whenever he's talking about stuff, he at least is knowledgeable about the extra things that he's talking about. So Cole is okay. Would I remove King? Most likely. Because King has got better, slightly better, the more JBL's got worse. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like King has less...
I think by taking JR out of the equation, like, King's got lazy.
Yeah, he has got lazy. We know that. But I think having JBL around, the fact that he gets a lot more... Like, JBL will say much more on an episode of Raw than King will. That takes a lot of time out of what King would be saying. I think King would be saying a lot of the bullshit that JBL would be saying. You know, now I wouldn't see King going mental and losing his shit over little people fighting in animal suits in the ring. But yeah, I just think back then we thought that JBL was going to be the catalyst that makes everything start working better, and it did for a little while, and now it's no
failed.
I can't remember the last time we praised JBL, and I'm a fan of JBL personally, even though I dislike of his practices. I do think he's a bully. Personally, you know, outside of the ring, we've heard lots of stories of him being just as bad as the Bellas were, but on the male roster.
That's it.
You know, but in terms of his actual vocal ability and what he can do when all the things fall into place on the mic, he is very good. But whether or not he's doing that at the moment or not is completely different. You know, he's not good at the moment. He's unbearable sometimes. He can be a big negative on the show. Is there anything else you want to cover with that at all, or?
No, I got nothing else.
My voice is getting hoarse. With the cold and with talking this long and having this bumper podcast for you guys, my throat is absolutely fucking killing me. But you know what? It's the end of the podcast, so there we go. We hope you guys do enjoy our return to the usual, you know, back to normal in regards to the recording of the show. And we do very much appreciate the support that you guys give to us on a weekly basis. We get more subscribers each week, so very much thank you. If you're a new listener, hit subscribe. You can catch us every single weekend. give you our thoughts. Leave a comment. Follow us on Twitter at TalkWrestlePod. At TalkWrestlePod? I can't believe I said that. At TalkWrestlePod.
Yeah.
And that way you can send tweets to Matt directly. He's the one who deals with all that. Easiest way to get any response. And if you want to tell Matt about any awesome matches he should watch, and that's probably the best way to do it, because more often than not...
pass on the word.
Pass on the word, yeah, that's it. However, if you want to leave a comment, like our fan did earlier on, Thomas Miller, who left a comment and actually talked about that today, then do the same. Leave it below. Ask us what we think about certain things, and we'll be more than happy to talk about it. If you disagree with any of the things that we said, that's great as well. Then why not do what our fan did 2 episodes ago and leave a very well worded response, and then that way we will respond to that as well. And we're more than happy to respond to people that disagree with us. It's an opinion show. We don't expect you to follow all of our opinions. So, anyway, in regards to that, is there any other plugs I've missed?
No, I think we're good.
I think I'm getting better at all
Yeah.
along those things, along those lines. And remember the Twitter, which you always give out to me for. So, but again, thank you guys for listening to the show. It's been great going on this road. In 5 episodes' time, we'll hit episode 50. Big changes to the podcast in terms of intros and graphics. I know that you're excited about that.
I am, yeah.
I know
That change.
all you guys will be. I hope you guys do enjoy the small little tweaks here and there. And apart from that, then my voice is about to give out to me, so I should say goodbye right now. We'll catch you all again next week.
Catch you soon.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.